CTV advertising is exploding, and this is the adtech show. While the legacy DSPs keep lumbering around like they're still hunting cookies in 2014, Keith Gooberman strolls in with Pontiac and rewires the whole playbook. Leaner, faster, actually built for CTV instead of pretending. If the DSP world needed a plot twist, this is the guy delivering it.
Hi, I'm Pesach Lattin, and this is the adtech show. I am here with Keith Gooberman of Pontiac. Legacy DSPs like the Trade Desk, Google, DB360, Amazon DSP dominate, but they were built for cookies and banner ads, not CTV. Pontiac claims to be a leaner, cheaper, and actually designed for Programmatic 2.0. First, most important question of the day, how are you, Keith?
Doing well, Pesach. How are you doing?
Thank God, doing great. Let's just cut through the fluff and get to the point. Does the industry actually need another DSP in 2025?
That's a great question. Multi-billion, some people use the T word with trillion. The advertising space, it's going to continue, as Jeff Green says in all of his public statements during quarterly announcements. It's going to continue to move to the programmatic pipes. It's going to move towards more automation and done through the programmatic auction as we know it and love it. So when you're talking about a billion-dollar industry in just the fees component, okay, like hundreds of millions of dollars made by some of those companies you just mentioned, there's definitely room. There's room for competition. There's room for people with new ideas doing things differently. There's always room. It has dried up in terms of raising capital to build a DSP. That's why my story is a lot about how I kind of bootstrapped it off of programmatic mechanics success. But it is hard to raise money for because the model is difficult to get right and to make a difference. As you said, as we've talked about a little bit, we don't have cookies. Okay, that's a big difference. That's a very large difference in terms of our infrastructure costs, the way we think about it, the way our DSP works compared to others. How much room is there for competition? I'm not sure. Do I think that there's room for us? I think so. But again, our model is not, we're not taking the same model from yesterday and just kind of saying, hey, we have a new name and more marketing dollars and more yogurt for you if you come to our happy hour.
If last touch attribution worked, your waiter would get full credit for the meal. We make sure the chef gets credit too. Incremental.
Ask you, so when you say the incumbents are like battleships, and I'm going to go with this metaphor a little bit, is there an example when a client came to, it was actually sinking under the weight, and did you have to hand out life jackets?
Yeah, so we kind of equate the older model with cookies to the battleship thing because cookies, so as a DSP sees a first impression from an SSP, this is the way they've been built for a very long time. As they see a first impression, they don't bid. They simply use that as an opportunity to place the cookie ID from the SSP into a match table so that they know who the user is. Then the second time, they bid on it. And the number of cookies and the cookie maps that these DSPs have to maintain are enormous. And because you need to look up what segments each user falls into before the bidder can even respond. Like the bidder can't respond until it knows what segments the user's in so that it knows what lines are going to bid on it. Those lookups of what segments those users, this is a tremendous amount of computing power. Every bid costs the DSP a sizable amount of computing power. Now, at scale, it all works out fine, as we know. But it's still very complicated and very cumbersome to do it that way. And the amount of servers that you need, the amount of servers you need to see 30 million ads a second so that your remarketing works well is expensive. You need to have a very large number of computers running at all times across the world that can see all this traffic. And these things make the maintenance of the infrastructure, the core bidder, very expensive. But if you remove the cookies and you're just bidding on deals that are sending traffic in however they've shaped it, the bidder, everybody, when you use the term bidder, I think everybody thinks of a little person with a paddle, right? Which obviously it's all automated. But in a way, our bidder is the paddle thing. It's saying, listen, the SSP is going to send me all the traffic I want. We've got a sports deal targeted to greater Minneapolis. That's what I want. I want it running from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that's what I want. The SSP can send that, but you still need a DSP to upload the creatives, to pace, to be able to buy, maybe some optimization. So with curation moving the tech more to the sell side, we have seen clients be very receptive to our lighter DSP model. And I would say that they are, because our model allows us to be thinner margin, we are very, we promote and we talk about and we're very friendly with the publishers. Because again, we're not like, we're taking less of the dollar than the next guy. So they're like, yeah, this DSP is better than that one because we make more of our money. So we align very well. The way we talk about it is much more about getting to a publisher. It's not necessarily about our own tech and all that, although we've built a lot of things around measurement and all that. I don't know if that was a good
So,
answer.
hypothetical question. If the trade desk was Coca-Cola, is Pontiac the artisanal kombucha, the off-brand RC Cola, or that sketchy Chinese unlabeled you can find at the bodega fridge?
I'm going to go that we're a little bit more of the flavored seltzer water of today, which is the DSP of yesterday, the Coca-Cola, the full soda, a staple for many years, enjoyable. But for those that want the carbonation, a little less calories, a little lighter, I think that we'd be more of that. Because
so no cult following like RC Cola.
Yeah, well, we have to go in there and win brands that spend larger dollars and care about saving points on the tech fee. We better have all the top CTV channels. So to get the Disney, NBC, and all these things, Sirius Radio, all these, not walled gardens, but fortified publishers. To get in, we have to be super legit, super clean. We can't be doing anything trying to steal audience data, like God forbid. We have to be very legitimate. We had to build a full-blown soda brand and bring it to market. But I would say that we're trying to do it a little, the flavor's different. It's not another soda. It's seltzered water for those that want us.
Eric Troutman, the czar of the TCPA, isn't just the guy you call when your phone rings too much. He's the guy you must call. Need to navigate the legal minefield of robocalls, texts, and telemarketing nightmares? Troutman doesn't just give you advice. He hands you a roadmap, a compass, and a do not press this button sign. Practical? Yes. Actionable? Absolutely. And if you're not calling him first, let's be honest, you're probably making a mistake.
If I just put this clip out there like that, no one's going to have any idea what we're talking about.
That's okay.
So can you walk me through a campaign where Pontiac outperformed a giant? And I want to know what cocktail you then celebrated with. And you can't say Michelob Ultra. I'm just shutting everything down.
Hey, what's my current drink of choice for a victory? Is that what the question was? I didn't hear you.
Well, it was more like what campaign made you go into the victory dance and drinking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So in Pontiac, when you're setting up lines, a lot more of our focus is on the PMP kind of by line. Okay, so a typical CTV campaign would have a couple of lines dedicated, a Disney line, an NBC line, a Roku line, the big guys, a Philo line, some of the aggregators, and then it might have some more performance kind of like more of your remnant like inventory that you can get from some of the fast channels. Okay, so you have a campaign. It's got 11 lines. Okay, now what they do, being the users or people using the platform, some of these come through with a lot of content signals. Okay, so Disney famously doesn't let you see the content, but they let you see the genre. Okay, so you could do some genre targeting on that first Disney line for some of the fast channels or some of the aggregators or the VMVPDs, which is how like Philo categorizes themselves, kind of like a modern cable company aggregating content and distributing it. Those guys pass more content signals. They might show you the channel they're watching in the Philo app. You might know that they're watching cooking versus home improvement versus a sports versus a talk show. And some of them even pass the show level data. Okay, so some of the cable companies with their carrying rights have the right to show you exactly what somebody's watching. The actual episode of Law & Order SVU. It's hard to say how valuable that is exactly, but again, there's different ways to use this for different buyers. 11 lines, all set up with different content targeting based on the publisher using our pixels. So we have our own IP-based pixel that will basically do attribution across these different channels, across these different content pieces. And so you can set the platform to optimize to web-based conversions on the CTV spend. And what it does is it focuses on the word allocation, which, not that that's a foreign word to anybody in this business, but it's not typically the way DSPs talk about optimization. They talk about it as bid changes and machine learning, kind of like how we orchestrate all these bids.
So you're going back
Ours
into media buying? Is this media buying 101 from 20 years
You know
ago?
what? You know what? Again, we're talking about allocating budgets. We're talking about moving budgets around based on performance, but in a very, you nailed it, a classic way. And again, you can ask the platform to auto allocate, but other DSPs that are built for display, they want to get the CPMs down. They're like designed to like lower the CPM until they don't win enough inventory. That doesn't really work on CTV, okay? Your floor price with these really nice providers, that's not where you're going to get your optimizations. If you want to change the CPMs, you got to allocate money into different buckets. You're not just like bidding less across them all. So the platform is designed in I think you nailed it, like in a way that a more, a media buyer 101 would kind of think about it. And the platform reflects that. And that's, you could do this across 6 curated deals that are all curating different display. So it's not only for CTV, but again, it's the word allocation is much more prominent for us.
So I'm going to move on. I want to talk a little about you being bootstrapped versus VC pumped behemoths. You didn't take a dime of VC cash. To me, that feels a little bit like showing up to a Formula One track in a Toyota Corolla, which is my wife's car, but you're lapping the Ferraris. So why did you go bootstrapped? Was it bravery, stubbornness, or you just had no money?
Okay, so I wish I could say that it was some fantastic foresight, but what we did was we built a managed service business, primarily over our friends at the time called AppNexus, and then called Xander, and now called the Microsoft something. Still not totally
Nothing
clear myself,
soon.
but it's something. It's in there. They're shutting down the DSP, by the way. I'm sure you're aware of that. So we built a managed service business. I then brought on our CTO. Our CTO is basically a friend at this point, but it's a business colleague. But Eric Thorson is an exceptionally gifted computer scientist. And I brought him on and we just started building. So we first built tools over the AppNexus buy-side API to help us with optimization and allocating money across. We want a lot of very small clients, modest budgets. So how to manage campaigns that only spend $100, every 2 days, 3 days is different than managing a campaign that spends $5,000. So we built tools to do that. We then built a front-end version of a DSP. So Pontiac was born as a front-end version of a DSP that just used the API into AppNexus and Xander. Somewhere in here they changed to Xander. And we built an integration to Stripe, the credit card company. And we were very close with the AppNexus people. So I kept saying to them, Xander people now, hey, are you getting leads that are people that want to test it for $5,000? Like, you're not signing an MSA for that. Why don't you send me those? I have a self-service platform now that they could swipe a credit card and use it and go from there. And that business started to work. And they started sending clients and we started onboarding clients and the business started to work. They were smaller, so they didn't mind the upcharge that I had to do to justify my own fee before the AppNexus fee, Xander fee. So it all worked out fine. Worked great. Platform's still live, by the way, so people still use this. But that started to work. And at that time, because that started to work and we were successful in building that business, now we have 2 businesses, Programmatic Mechanics and Pontiac. Because we started building the Pontiac piece, we invested in engineering talent. Okay, so we were able to hire engineers. We got a couple of very great engineers. We got a brilliant PhD out of Poland. He's actually a rock drummer. This guy, Marek, is also amazing. And a team. And at that point, the platform was just an API over AppNexus. We were kind of done. Like, it didn't need much more building. It was running. It was going fine. CTV comes along, and I'm going, guys, we're paying the regular DSP fees, but between you and me, they're sending deals. It can't be more than 2,000 QPS. Again, my example, only live sports, only from in Minneapolis. Like, the actual deal itself was like many less QPS. So then with the engineers, the company working, I had the engineering talent. We had a front end already built in 2019, beginning of 2020. I said, guys, we should build a bidder. Like, I'm not going to build it. Would you build a bidder? And they were like, it's going to take us about 2 years. And I was like, great. And now this goes a little bit to the VC thing. I said, great, sure, let's go, start building. That is a long time in the VC world to just say,
right,
go build something. I didn't even have to ask anybody. I was just like, I like that. Why don't we do that? And so that speed, that decision-making, that ability to kind of run fast, they built it. So now it's 2022. We had to get integrated with Magnite and Freewheel and Index and Xander Monetize. That took another year and approvals, the contract with the mouse on it, the Disney one, and those. It takes time. But then in 2023, we really went to market and we had ourselves a platform done for buying. Then Curate took off. And like now we have a very efficient tool to buy against curated deals. So, oh, that's cool. And
Do you
then-
consider yourself a curator?
No. But if you're a curator, not you, but if the proverbial use a curator,
I curate
and
some
you're-
stuff, as you say.
there you go. If you then push deals to DSPs, the DSPs, again, aren't doing that much. They just want to do pacing and the creative and make sure that it runs and stops when it's supposed to stop. Now, listen, we have unbelievably advanced ways to do day parting so that it mimics TV schedules. We have custom algorithms so you could literally target those shows and mimic TV, like your TV schedule or off your schedule or whatever it is. So it's not to say that there's not advanced tools to do buying, but we had no cookies, and it really, with the curation thing taking off, more people are doing decisioning on the sell side, and they want the DSP to be lighter. So that timing, all that working, and then again, as I said, for the scaled buyers, we are several percentage points thinner than the other DSPs on the market. And that type of revenue model is not about making money today. Okay. If you take a single digit percentage, you bet you're not making money today. You might get a big client to sign up, and then you might get them to scale. And at some point, 2 years down the road, it'll start to make some actual money. And that is an equation. Again, we didn't set out to get here because, again, it was kind of this way, CTV, let's build. But now that we're here, it's very hard to get a bidder to scale, to work worldwide, to have all these features, and to do it at such a thin margin. If I went into a VC room and I told them the plan, they would tell me it's basically not going to work. And they'd be right unless we use the power of time and a couple of balls bounced our way. And I think that's what's happened now.
You've said before that Bootstrap makes you nimble, but doesn't it also make you a bit irrelevant on scale? Aren't you screaming into the wind while Amazon builds a Death Star? I mean, honestly, does Darth Bezos care about indie DSPs?
Wonderful question. And a very difficult thing to pontificate when you're on the outside of those walls. Okay, I'm not sure. I believe that publishers and ad tech companies are a relatively large client set on AWS. I could be wrong, but outside of healthcare, advertising records and advertising information and advertising machines need a lot of machines. So like they're definitely coming after the ad spend via the DSPs. And would having a lot more dollars for marketing make it easier? I believe that would be nice. I'm not going to stand here and say that I wouldn't like a couple $1 million to do some events and things. And we have to keep it a little bit slimmer on that side.
Is the end game selling to Disney?
What?
Is the end game selling to Disney?
The end game is to build a DSP that is scaled, competitive, a true value add for clients that use it, and then see. I don't have any exit plans, and I'm not looking for them. But as going back to your last point for 1 second, the idea of does bootstrapping hurt in that way? It can. It can in the way that some people want a lot of flash. They want a lot of noise around it. Thanks to you and doing this with me today and a few other little interviews here and there, we definitely have gotten our name out there. And listen, I go back a little bit to the engineering talent we have. Again, Eric and Mark and a few others, and the way we've done it and the way we've designed the platform. We've used a lot of platforms. We know a lot about buying ads. The DSP is pretty nice to use if you use a DSP. No crazy artistic tables getting in your way or whatever other things are offering. And you know what? I think we're doing pretty good on the product itself. You got to use it. You got to say, I'm going to give it a shot. But when we get people using it, they see that it's better control, better results, better transparency into what they're buying, better pricing, all these things. And listen, I'm not one of those companies that goes with total flash. If you're going to try Pontiac, you're going to be a serious buyer. You're going to be looking to make your buying more efficient. You're going to be excited about the tools we built. And we will take you to dinner, I will say. But in all seriousness, listen, do I and some of the other execs with me struggle a little bit with should we raise to do a big marketing push? And I always go back to, it's a little the Walmart idea. It's like, you know what? I want to be so thin on the margin. I want them to know that their dollars are going to support the platform and that's where it's going. And it's working. People appreciate the people that are using it are doing the marketing for us. They're telling their friends, hey, you see this thing is actually pretty good to use.
So you see yourself a little bit like a plumber building pipes, and you say pipes don't change. Is that like in a Zen way, or we gave up on innovation?
Well, the auction, we're talking about the best methods of yield to sell something. So I'm not an academic, wasn't the strongest part of my life history, but I'm pretty sure that the more buyers for something, the better off and more likelihood it is to sell for a decent price. And that auction process to the most possible buyers, that is exactly what the current exchange-based technology is built on. Our RTB specs is this idea that we're going to put this ad up for auction, and you can build a tool that can see all the relevant information of the ad and submit a bid. AI and innovation and things is going to happen all over the place here, everywhere. But even if you ask AI what is the most efficient way to do this, it's going to come down to an auction system that's instantaneous, where there's as many buyers as possible and they all have as much information to make the decision and they can submit bids. It's not, I just don't think the core SP auctioning to DSP RTB is going to change. I don't think that there's anywhere for it to improve in a way. I mean, again, not.
Well, I mean, some people are getting rid of SSBs. Isn't that a big change?
That is,
I mean, from the last 10 years.
That's moving the auction. It's moving the auction, but there's still an auction. But it's moving the auction a little bit more into the ad server than it is sitting in the SSP. So, it's true. That's just kind of, that's definitely a change, and there will be a lot of changes. But in terms of like the actual ad passing of information, that's a great example you made, but I don't see many other examples that are going to, and that doesn't actually change the system. It just kind of moved it from one group to another. I think, and I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time, but I think that that's not going to change. I don't, that's my gut.
So AI hype is everywhere. Are you secretly laughing at your competitors trying to sell AI-powered faucets?
I mean, we have built a full API into Pontiac, so many of our clients have built really slick AI-style buying tools on top. And the prompt DSP, and others have built great tools for other specific verticals and other specific things that advertisers care about. We have, I think, like a good DSP should, we have a bunch of clients who are doing very smart things that are building their own platforms. So what we see is brilliant innovation around the AI DSPs and the interfaces and all of that, and we support it. Our specific piece of technology is a little bit more just about managing this programmatic auction. Not, my team wants to build some more AI stuff, and we do some nice natural language processing stuff for contextual, and again, but the core bidder, the core technology for allocation of dollars by one, that's where we spend most of our time and resources improving, and again, I think that these AI DSPs are cool. This is an Andrew Casale from Index Line, but we're trying to be the pipes. We believe that we'll go through these pipes. We believe that it will be a low margin position when it is all said and done. And again, how big it gets is obviously my mission, but it's hard to say. But I do think that we can earn a spot there. In terms of the front ends and all the AI tools and all of that, I think that will power some of them, and I'm sure we will incorporate it. But no, it's not. We're just not short-term people. We're building a tool that we want to make sure that hundreds of companies can use to rely on managing their ad dollars, and understand that that's going to take some time and flashy things that are really appetizing for somebody today may get you in, and you get booted to the curb 6 months, 12 months later. Again, we're trying to play the long game, get into clients for many years.
So if Pontiac was a bathroom fixture, are you the shower, the sink, or the bidet, and why?
All right.
I almost threw in a colonic in there too, but
that is an amazing one. Okay. Bidet is too.
Because we know adtech needs a good cleanse.
I mean, listen, I guess we'll go bidet. And the reason is because it just could always be cleaner, and I think that our focus on the publishers.
You're like the Charmin of adtech.
The focus on publishers. We want to talk about what websites you're on. We want to talk about what pages of what websites, what content were they watching, what podcasts were they listening to. Did your user listen to a podcast and then watch a CTV show? Which shows? Which are they listening to? What ads worked on display? Just by the thin margin thing and the allocation conversation and the promotion of PMPs, which is publisher market, publisher, that helps, get rid of some of the stuff, third-party data. And we have, by the way, the ability to use data, and we're plugged into the TransUnion marketplace. And again, it's not like we still have to be able to run campaigns if people want to run them. But in these DSPs, people had 30 audiences from 16 different companies. It's just too much. It could be cleaner. And I think that we help the user feel just extra clean, and that's why we'll take the bidet over.
Okay, we're in the time of our show where we shipwreck you on an island, not wreck you personally. And you mentioned that it's your poor family you're bringing with you, and Jack Johnson. How did you survive? Is this Naked and Afraid DSP edition or Gilligan's Island with CPM math?
I mean, if you're gonna say bootstrap and you're gonna make it work, and you're gonna work with all the resources you're given to make sure that you are efficient and succeed, I believe I'd have to go Naked and Afraid route.
So Jack Johnson is the singer?
Jack Johnson, yes, the singer, songwriter. Music is great for the beach. I just think that he's I don't know exactly how old he is, but he could help build some shelter. He'd be able to help.
How useful is he? Can he make pancakes?
I mean, he's a beach guy, so I'm not like a total
banana
beach
pancakes, maybe.
Yeah, I'm assuming the island is small, like a cartoon. Maybe it's big. I don't know. Is it like a abandoned island? I don't know. But I was thinking that if I'm gonna be
it's abandoned. It's not like Maui.
I think he lives on Maui. But yeah, that was my.
He does.
Entertaining.
That's a coincidence. So your kids build a farm. Which crop do you plant first? Corn, coconuts, or weed? And only two can make you wealthy, obviously.
Am I on the island, or is this now? I'm not on the island. This is normal society.
No, this is you're still on the island.
I'm still on the island. Corn and weed.
Corn and weed.
Yeah. Jack Johnson's going to be very insistent on the weed.
He's a big weed guy.
Yeah, and
it is Maui.
We're stuck on this island together. I want him to be comfortable and be able to,
You can make a bong out of a coconut.
He'll handle all.
So how would you rather explain programmatic auctions to a coconut or try to teach your kids to clean up after themselves?
I've made a, coconut, like a Wilson type thing from Castaway. I mean, that's going to be,
yeah.
It's really,
I'm sure that reference is gone for some people. Like they just have no idea what we're talking about. I think I brought up Wilson to like a Gen Z person and they just looked at me like I had lost my mind. Person was on an island talking to a coconut and they just like backed away. Okay, old man.
I mean, I've made a career explaining programmatic to people. That is, if you ask me what I've done, I
got to ask you then, if you had explained programmatic to your kids, and maybe you have, how did you do it?
Around this instantaneous auction thing, around this idea that, they're getting a little bit older conveniently and they watch themselves Curious George streaming and some other things. And there are ad slots, and there's ads that fire. There's ads that fire two in the pod, and there's ads that have, there's on CTV, there's often ad slots with no ads in them. Commercial playing, commercial airing. So,
and you're trying to sell it to somebody?
Yeah, well, yeah. I've to my kids, I explained it piece by piece by saying, listen, there's tools that are trying to sell this in real time, and they either didn't find a buyer or no tool bid on it. And that's one of the tools that we've built. Your dad and Eric and the people that they've met a few times. And I explained that it's all based on this like really quick auction. And it happens every time they see an ad on TV. It happens every time they see a digital billboard.
Or it doesn't happen every time they see. I have Netflix. I see those no ads all the time.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I'm just staring at the screen waiting. And the funny thing is, I'll be staring at the screen for like 5 minutes. And then my wife and I, because we don't actually have a TV, so we have the Kindle. And we're just like, we've been staring at a blank screen for 5 minutes and we have no idea. Like, you just let it go.
Yeah, right, they're not sold. None of those CTV guys are sold out. I probably don't want to say in that, but that's the truth.
So let's just say Jeff Green comes in his large yacht and tries to rescue you. First of all, would you take the rescue from Jeff Green? And second of all, what's the first ad campaign you'd launch to tell the world how you survived?
I mean, lowering the margin in any business is very difficult. Jeff has been very big proponent of focusing all of his attention and the TTD's attention on the product that they've built. They are 100% focused on that.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think he's going to rescue you.
Well, hold on. This is very unlikely, but, and I'm not drowning. We're partying on our boat, but
Yeah, maybe he's coming to visit you. Maybe it's the new
yeah,
cans.
well, maybe my boat could like slip up to the side of his yacht. I don't know. The analogy is tough, but
Your
I
coconut
mean, listen,
boat. You'd
is
probably
there
be
a
seen as a
world-
terrorist.
Is there a world that our DSP starts managing kind of, again, more of the allocation side, and it's at a margin that's, a third of theirs or whatever, and it's a different business model? It's a different business model. Listen, obviously they would have to change from their we only run TTD's platform. But if he gets into the business of buying other advertising platforms, could hedge him against the low margin problem, maybe there would be some type of fit. Unlikely, very unlikely, but I wouldn't, never say never.
I'm not sure that was the answer to the question, but we'll go with it. So a little bit about you. You're the kid from Union College with a degree in mechanical engineering.
Yes, sir.
You have 3 kids, a wife, a background in numbers, and you love advertising as you see it enduring in culture. You said it's really hard, but you never leave. What is the reason, and how is it Stockholm Syndrome?
I mean, a job, making money, it's not easy. There's a lot of very difficult, very hard, very high pressure jobs. Not that
What's the hardest part? The people or what?
Getting in is very difficult. This is a small community. You know that. It's not that many people in this business, especially if you focus just on the media side. It gets smaller. So it's hard to get in. It's hard to learn how to use these platforms. You can't really learn how to use a DSP unless you manage clients' budgets. Why is a client giving you $100,000 as a budget for you to learn on? I don't think that's going to happen. So there's a chicken and egg issue of how you learn and how you get in.
Has anyone ever considered gamifying it, like doing a DSP game?
Well,
training?
Yeah. I mean, there's trainings is one thing, but training doesn't, if you spend money a day that the campaign is not supposed to be live, it's a feeling of stress that is impossible to teach and impossible to coach without going through it. As you learn to fly a plane, there's periods of the training where they shut down the engines while you're in the sky. You had to get in the plane to get the engines shut on you. That's similar to, you can't necessarily do that here. So it's hard to get in. Once you're in and you understand it, I find it rewarding and exciting and interesting. And technology, we're on the edge of technology and how things work and computer speed and innovation. And I just think it's got a lot of the components to keep it very interesting and fulfilling. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is never the case because there's campaigns that touch on very hard subjects and things that are very important and privacy. But generally, it's not a life and death type business. Generally, you're not dealing with that type of thing. So I think advertising is just a good place to be. It is, it's competitive and it's tough and it can burn you out especially when you're young and they grind you at these agencies. Like I can understand people getting burned out, but I always recommend people take a change. They change the side of the business, but I find that it's a very, very good business. I've seen a lot of people leave and come back. I'm sure you have too.
So who is your Yoda and what do they teach you? And for shits and giggles, you have to say it like Yoda.
So Paul Roskowski is my partner, and Paul came in. I was at Varick Media Management, which was the trading desk arm of MDC Partners, which is now kind of morphed into Stagwell through acquisitions and whatnot. When I was there, I was a trader. I was a media trader, and the management came in and said they're hiring a new president. And they brought on Paul Roskowski, who's now for years I called him my mentor, now I call him my partner. Paul came with an attitude on how to drive sales and innovation that to me showed me that while you had to make money and you got to close deals and you got to perform on the media campaigns and you got to do the job, he really showed me how it could be fun. I mean, he showed me how you travel to Dallas for a meeting and you catch another flight and you're in Kansas City and then you're at dinner in Minneapolis and you're pushing relationships, but ultimately with a little bit of the idea that it can be fun. There's no rules to how you build a successful business. There's some rules, obviously, but there's really it's not about doing it the way somebody else did it. It's not about doing it a certain way. As long as we're able to do it legally, fairly, and in good nature, there are almost no rules. He and I got along very quickly, and he promoted me from just a trader to the head of the trading organization. But I guess to make this, to close this segment full circle and give you a little insight into Paul, he thought that everybody in the organization just kept coming to me with questions. They just kept coming to me. Just go to Keith. How does that work? Go to Keith. What's the expected close rate on that campaign? Go to Keith. Go to Keith. Go to Keith. It wasn't a very big company. I mean, we're talking about a 15-person company that got up to about 50 before I left. But for a period there, and this changed as I grew out of the director role. But he thought it was funny to call me the director of yield operations, data, and analytics. And that was the director of Yoda as for short.
So what's the Yoda phrase? Like fun media buy-in is?
Ensure. I'm not,
yeah, I know it's hard putting you on the spot.
Clean as can be. This clean. No, I don't know. Hard to say.
Okay, superpower time. You said you wanted speed of light travel, which is actually probably the smartest thing I've heard, because you can also do time travel with time dilation. If you had it, what's the first double book trip you'd fix?
Man, I mean, clients.
Are we going back
Europe?
to Maui?
Well, yeah, and also hanging with Jack on our island and I would be able to do both. That'd be nice.
So what's the craziest industry opinion that make people look at you like you have lost your mind? Like, probably cookies are bad.
I mean, yeah, I would say if I walk into a room and I'm like, hey, you're going to get better performance on Pontiac than the DSP you're using today, I think most people look at me like I'm insane. But a DSP is a way into an exchange. I mean, it's not like we talk about this in the financial comparisons of the exchanges have been done for years, right. And it doesn't really work.
That was the inspiration originally.
Exactly. But like in all seriousness, we're talking about a tool that's used in the finance world to buy and sell stocks. Fidelity, Trade, Robinhood. There's a lot of tools to do it. Do they actually do the performance, any of these? No, they just give you a way to buy and sell them, and you have to do the performance, but you want a tool that works good, viably, all the time, sees all the stocks, sees all the, in our space, ad space in our case. So it's not the platform, it's the what you're doing. And obviously a platform can encourage you to do it better, but especially in that space, conveniently, low fees. That's the first thing people promote, low fees. Why do they promote that? Because less of the money's going to the middle, more of it's going into the stock. This is the same game. We're good at performance. Did we build a good algorithm? Does the tool do what you want? Oh, yeah. Does it also clear the ads for a lower price because the margin's lower? Yes.
So looking back in 20 years, what do you want your legacy to be? The numbers guy who built DSPs or the dad who got your kids to clean their room?
I mean, I manage an organization of 35 folks. I take managing people and their career choices and their work very seriously. I'm proud of the team that I have at the moment and people that have come and gone. And I take that very seriously. I think that it's important to build DSPs. It's important to make a value-added tool or service that actually deserves to be paid and make money. It's okay to make money. We're not a nonprofit. But I take the human component and the way that the company treats its employees and people in the circle very, very seriously. And I think that if I had to hope, I think that the legacy would be people would say that they liked working at the company. They thought it was a good mission. Hopefully they made some money. And that would mean a lot more to me. Having a group, however big, hopefully it grows to hundreds of people. But I would say I hope my kids clean and the people that I've worked with closely think of it all.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the adtech Show. CTV is blowing up faster than my inbox after I say something mildly honest on LinkedIn, and Keith Gooberman just gave us the kind of DSP reality check the industry usually needs a stiff drink for. A quick thank you to the people who keep this circus running. Troutman Amin LLP, the legal Sherpas who somehow managed to keep half the adtech world from tripping over its own shoelaces, and Incremental.com, proving that actual measurement isn't a mythical creature we whisper about in conference hallways. Stay bold, stay curious, and know more than you did yesterday.